So, what if the next evolution of the internet, what some are calling the fourth generation of blockchain, was built on something totally different? Not on radical transparency, but on real privacy, freedom, and fairness. What if we could finally fix blockchain's biggest broken promise?
All right, so here's the game plan. First, we're going to dig into the core problem that's really been holding crypto back. Then, we'll get into this fascinating new idea called rational privacy. After that, we'll see how a completely different economic model could change everything, and wrap it all up with the philosophy behind it and what this all means for our digital future.
You know, to really get where we're going, we've got to look back at where we've been. Blockchain kicked off with this incredibly powerful promise right after the 2008 financial crisis. It was a promise of true ownership at a time when the traditional system just completely failed us.
So first up, you had Bitcoin, right? That was generation one. It gave us direct ownership of our money. No banks needed. Then came Ethereum, generation two, which blew the doors open with smart contracts and programmability. And for the last few years, Generation 3 has been all about scale and speed. But here's the thing. With all this amazing innovation, why aren't we all using it every day? Well, it turns out there's this one single compromise at the very heart of it all.
And there it is. The big compromise was transparency. For these networks to work, to be this single source of truth that everyone can trust, every single transaction had to be public. Visible to everyone, forever. Just imagine your entire financial life, every coffee you buy, every bill you pay, out there for the whole world to see. That right there, that lack of privacy, is the wall that's kept mainstream businesses and regular people from jumping in.
So, how in the world do you fix that? Well, instead of just accepting that total transparency is the price of admission, Midnight asks a different question. What if privacy on the blockchain could be more, rational?
Rational privacy isn't about hiding, not at all. It's actually the complete opposite. It's about putting you in control. The idea is simple. Your data is private by default, but you have the power to choose what you reveal, when you reveal it, and who gets to see it. It's how we act in the real world every single day. Here, let me give you a quick example.
Okay, picture it. You're at a conference. Someone you've never met walks up and asks for your name. Would you tell them? Yeah, probably. Most of us would, right? No big deal. All right, same stranger, same conversation. Now they ask you what your salary is. Suddenly that's a different story, isn't it? The number of hands going up to share that info just dropped to near zero. We're a little more selective.
And this perfectly illustrates the point. If they asked for the total value of everything you own, forget about it. Nobody's sharing that. And that is rational privacy in action. It's just a natural human instinct to control our own information. It's an instinct that current blockchains completely ignore.
Okay, so that's the privacy piece. But that's only half the puzzle. We also have to fix a huge, deeply illogical problem baked into the economics of basically every major blockchain out there today. Think about this for a second. Would you ever pay for your iPhone using your Apple stock? Of course not. That sounds absolutely insane. But that's exactly how crypto works. Your investment, the thing you hope goes up in value, is the very same thing you have to spend to use the network. It makes zero sense, and it makes costs totally unpredictable. Midnight's model splits those two things apart. And here's how they do it, with two different tokens. First, there's $Night. Think of this as your ownership stake. It's the speculative asset, kind of like owning stock in the network itself. Then there's $Dust. This is the utility token. This is what you actually use to pay for your private transactions. You get it by holding $Night. And here's the clever part. It decays over time. This helps make sure it's just used for utility, which has big implications for navigating financial regulations.
Here's a really great way to think about it. Owning NightX is like owning a piece of a power plant. The more of the plant you own, the more electricity, or dust, you generate. Simple. This makes your costs way more predictable. And what if you don't want to own the plant? No problem. You can just lease the electricity, the dust, from people who do. This, for the first time, really creates a true blockchain as a service model.
So we have rational privacy, and we have these cooperative economics. But this whole thing isn't just about a cool piece of tech. It's about the principles behind it. It's about protecting some really fundamental human freedoms as our lives move more and more online.
And these principles are called the freedoms of ACE. A is for association, the right to just connect with people without needing anyone's permission. C is for commerce, the freedom to do business without worrying that some big institution is going to shut you down or debank you because they don't like your politics. And E is for expression, the power to share your ideas without some central company or government having a kill switch on your voice.
Now, this vision of a more private,
more fair digital world? It isn't just a theory on a whiteboard. It's being launched with one of the biggest community-driven efforts the space has ever seen.
Just let this number sink in. 9 million. By the time the initial launch is done, nearly 9 million people will have a stake in this network. 9 million. That is literally more than the entire population of London. So this isn't some tiny experiment. This is a massive movement with a huge community right from day one.
And that really brings us full circle, back to the core idea. This was never about building a place to hide. It's about building a system based on choice. The choice to control your data gives you the freedom to engage with the world on your own terms. And that combination, choice plus freedom, that's what empowerment really is.
So the foundation is being laid for something new. A system with privacy by default, economics that actually makes sense, and our core freedoms baked right in. And that leaves all of us with a really important question to think about. If we finally have the choice, what kind of world are we going to build with it?